New fantasy films are released frequently, but unfortunately, they're not always of the highest quality. Directors seem to shy away from this genre, rarely giving viewers something truly satisfying. But there are still some good examples, and they're gathered in this collection, so choosing something for yourself won't be difficult. Enjoy your viewing. We'll begin with an adaptation of the celebrated animated franchise, How to Train Your Dragon, long considered the pinnacle of family fantasy. Director Dean DeBlois, the creator of the original trilogy, reimagined the film, preserving the spirit of the tale, but adding a more realistic feel. Islands, sea, and real actors. The world of Vikings comes to life once again, where ancient legends and fantastical creatures coexist alongside harsh nature. Mason Yeames and Nina Parker star. Dragons once again soar behind the heroes, now designed with an emphasis on realism, but still radiating warmth and charisma. The story follows a familiar theme. Young Hiccup, the weak son of a chieftain, encounters a dragon, a night fury, for the first time. Instead of killing the enemy, he decides to help the wounded creature, a decision that changes his life and the fate of his entire tribe. Gradually, a strong bond develops between the boy and the dragon, the covenant of Toothless, changing the Vikings' understanding of fear, friendship, and trust. The film infuses the tale with new power. It features large-scale battles, touching flight scenes, and a spirit of adventure that unites generations of viewers. The story demonstrates that courage comes in many forms, and that taming not only a dragon but also one's own fears can be achieved. Beetlejuice, the long-awaited sequel to Tim Burton's cult gothic comedy, returned audiences to a world where the line between life and death is thinner than a spider's web. The director once again plays with his signature dark humor, visual eccentricity, and love of strange yet olfactory characters. Michael Keaton, after decades, once again dons a pinstriped suit and proves his charisma hasn't faded at all. Alongside him are Winona Ryder as a grown-up Lydia, Jonah Artego as her daughter, and Monica Bellucci as a mysterious woman from the afterlife. The film's atmosphere, a mix of the grotesque, black comedy, and Burton's signature charm, is slightly unnerving. The plot once again centers on the Dees family, who years later face the return of Beetlejuice. Now Lydia is forced to protect her daughter from the chaos wreaked by this uncontrollable demon. But the young heroine herself shows curiosity about the secrets of the afterlife. The repeated chanting of Beetlejuice draws everyone into a whirlwind of mad events, where living monsters, absurd laws of the dead, and chaotic magic turn the family's life upside down. The story weaves together themes of acceptance, legacy, and the fears of growing up. The new heroine faces the same dilemmas her mother once did, and Beetlejuice, as before, remains the embodiment of chaos that cannot be controlled. The result is a hilarious and slightly eerie sequel where the past collides with the present, and family ties are tested in the most unlikely place, on the threshold of the afterlife. The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle, a colorful adventure film starring Robert Downey Jr. in the unexpected role of an eccentric doctor with the ability to understand animal language. The film is a refreshing take on the famous story, and while it lacks superhero costumes, it's packed with magic, humor, and charismatic animals, whose voices, incidentally, were also provided by stars in the original film. The film's atmosphere is reminiscent of good old fairy tale adventures. Lush landscapes, fantastical creatures, and a touch of Victorian eccentricity make it feel like a children's book come to life. The plot takes us to 19th century England, where, after the tragic loss of his wife, Dr. Dolittle has retreated from the world with his pets. However, when the young queen is threatened with a fatal illness, his protagonist is asked to embark on a dangerous journey to find a rare cure. Together with his faithful pack of talking animals, he embarks on an expedition filled with sea battles, treacherous rivals, and unexpected discoveries. Behind the adventure lies a story of overcoming grief, finding new friends, and learning to trust the world again. The result is a vibrant family film, where action and comedy coexist, and the heart of the story beats with the idea that the loneliest people can find family again, even if it's not always human. Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a colorful, action-packed Marvel film that marks the studio's first major feature on a Chinese-American superhero. The film combines Eastern martial arts, family drama, and the comic book universe's signature humor. Joining him are Simonoa Akforin, Menerjon, and Tony Lingi, who create a charismatic antagonist who becomes one of the most memorable, combining mystical rings, ancient legends, and spectacular fights. The film is a vibrant blockbuster where magic and kung fu go hand in hand. The story itself follows Shang Chi, a young man trying to put his past behind him and live a normal life in San Francisco. However, his plans are thwarted when the Ten Rings, led by his father Wenwu, who possesses incredible powers thanks to his artifacts, uncovers his trail. Forced to return to the world he fled, Shang-Chi faces not only his father's power, but also his own shadow. At the center is not a power struggle, but a family conflict, a son yearning for freedom, and a father obsessed with loss. Along the hero's journey, he encounters mythical creatures, ancient prophecies, and decisions that will change his life forever. Minecraft is coming to cinemas, a long-awaited adaptation of one of the most popular games in the world, a film that Hollywood has been eyeing for decades. The film combines elements of family adventure and fantasy while remaining true to the spirit of the original. It features a cubic world, recognizable biomes, mobs and mages, and block-based construction. The plot is presented in a light, humorous tone, yet avoids becoming a banal children's attraction. The creators, well, as best they could, tried to integrate into the story both a metaphor for growing up and the idea that even a chaotic world can be brought to order with imagination. The plot revolves around a group of misfits from the real world who must unite to save a cubic world from the chaotic threat of piglins, amplified by mysterious artifacts. Natalie, an insecure teenager who recently lost her parents, gradually learns to survive and fight in this world, while her motley companions are more inclined toward house and improvisation. Together, they survive battles with creepers, nighttime raids against skeletons, and even a journey into a mysterious underworld. But behind all the battles lies a central conflict. Will these disparate characters be able to trust each other and build something lasting, be it a fortress or friendship? This becomes the heart of the story, where every step is laid out like a series of blocks, and every choice shapes the world around them. The Northman is a gritty historical saga by Robert Egress, in which ancient Scandinavian myths come to life on screen. The director of The Lighthouse and the Witch takes the legend of Amleth, the very same land that would later inspire Shakespeare's Hamlet, and transforms it into a brutal spectacle filled with mysticism, rituals, and primal rage. At the center of the story is Alexander Skarsgård as the warrior berserker, along with a host of other characters who exist on the edge of myth and reality. There's blood and filth, pagan rituals, shamanic visions, and every action seems dictated by fate and ancient prophecies. The plot itself revolves around the young Prince of Amleth, who witnesses the murder of his father, a valiant king, at the hands of his traitorous uncle, the surviving boy Clank. "I will avenge you, father, save you, mother, and kill you, Fjolnir." Years later, transformed into the savage Viking berserker, he travels to Iceland disguised as a slave to reach the enemy. But revenge turns out to be only part of a much larger journey. Amleth faces love, magic, a curse, and trials leading him to a deadly end. Each vision pushes the hero toward the final battle, bloody as the Northern legend itself. Write in the comments what interested you most and what interesting things you've watched recently. It's always useful for me and other viewers.